1045 The Team, your home for New York sports and Capital Region Zone, and who's doing well out there in the Buffalo-Rochester area, 13 Wham zone, Jenna Cottrell. Jenna, I always like to look up the latest news on somebody before we have them on, just to make sure that there's anything special is there. The first thing that always comes up is you getting run over on the sideline.
Yeah, so I was in Buffalo on Thursday for their preseason game against Carolina, and I can't tell you how many people were like, huh, you're the girl that got run over. I'm like, yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm still on 2 feet, yeah. But no, I can't shake that, unfortunately.
Well, you also can't shake the rain. Every time we talked to you, we were hanging out last Tuesday. It's torrential downpours.
Don't blame us for the rain.
And now it's raining today when we're talking to our training camp.
I was going to say, no, this is your guys' fault, I'm telling you. Because it has been blue skies. It's actually been like 1,000 degrees at camp, and then you guys show up and it's pouring, and then I got to talk to you again, and it's pouring rain. You guys.
Jenna's not going to answer the phone anymore when we call. She's like, I want to get out there and cover practice. Jenna Cottrell with us. So, Jenna, when we saw you, it was a shorter practice, but my major takeaway from that practice was that Nathan Peterman looked like the most well-rounded, best quarterback of the group.
Ooh, so that is very interesting. So obviously Nathan Peterman was the Bills' QB1 for their game against Carolina on Thursday, and Sean McDermott, their head coach, is very much into a rotation, making sure that all the guys get reps with the first team. But I think after that preseason game one, I mean, Josh Allen, to me, he is the most talented guy on that field. I mean, I think you can see he's got some stuff to work on. He's a rookie. He was just drafted 7th overall this past spring. But I think when you look at him, you look at the talent that he has. He has a cannon for a right arm. Like, I'm telling you guys, he throws the ball with so much zip. He throws it into tight windows. I think when you look at the potential, he is definitely the one that stands out to me. So,
Jared, do you think he has a chance of actually starting the season, or is this just, are you just talking about a high ceiling right now?
So here's the thing. I always thought, their head coach, Sean McDermott, general manager, Brandon Beane, are very regimented guys, very, going through, all right, they're very measured in their responses, in the way they go about things. But I think from what they saw this past week that they're like, you know what, maybe he's more ready than we were expecting. I think they definitely want to baby getting Josh Allen into the mix. But even, yesterday, so he really only took reps with the third-team offense all of training camp. But after that preseason game, when they got back to camp on Sunday, he had a couple more reps with the first team. And then yesterday, he worked primarily with the second team, which is something that we had not seen at all. That's why I was so curious to see what we were going to see today, considering he worked with the second team yesterday. Was there a possibility he could be mostly first team today? But I think McDermott and his company, they're going to be very, like I said before, regimented in the way they bring him along. But I think they saw so much potential that they do want to see him play with that first-team offense, with that first-team defense, and see was he just so much more talented than the rest of the third-stringers, or is there actually way more beyond that as well?
Allen has all this potential. Peterman's looked good, and now almost the odd man out is A.J. Mccarron, who they brought in the offseason. Is there a chance that A.J. Mccarron not only may be the third-best quarterback, but maybe he's even off the roster by week 1?
First of all, it's so weird to talk about this because, we're talking about the Bills. When has there been in the last couple of years there was too much Bills QB talent? It's jarring to be like, wow, there's actually, there's a depth chart that matters. But, I mean, I think A.J. Mccarron, you saw him on Thursday against Carolina. He was very poised in the pocket. He got the ball out. He led his receivers. I mean, he was very proficient. Him and Nathan Peterman, I think, both looked sharp. And I think, again, I don't know if they're going to carry 3 QBs. I think that's the big question. Now, A.J. Mccarron was brought in this past offseason. Nathan Peterman was a draft pick from last year, so he's kind of, the Bills' pet project, being someone that the Bills drafted themselves. And obviously the same thing with Josh Allen. So I don't know if they do carry 2 QBs or if they cut one. I don't know if they would cut or probably try and trade McCarron or how they would go about it. But obviously they're going to hold on to Josh Allen. But I don't know what that means for those other 2 guys, considering, I mean, they've looked like they have actual talent at the quarterback position, which is something we haven't seen in Buffalo in a really long time.
Jenna Cottrell with us right now. She covers the Bills for 13 Wham, and of course from Saratoga. So I just have to sum this up. When I originally said I liked the way Nathan Peterman looked, I was asked if I was drinking at practice and then accused of harder narcotics until the preseason game. Should I just accept the fact that I may have been drunk for that rain-soaked practice?
No, I mean, I think he has had opportunities where he's looked really good. Like, he has. I mean, I think in that game, you saw it. I mean, there was the interception, but the receiver should have caught the ball. Like, he has had flashes where he's really good. I think a lot of people, if you don't watch him every day, you just think of that game against the Chargers where he threw, like, 12 interceptions. So I think people, if you watch him, you see why the Bills picked him. You see why the Bills are working with him, because he has had those opportunities that he has taken advantage of. So you weren't drunk. But I think you were looking into, and you were seeing the fact that, like, wow, this kid has potential, which is something, again, that I think that's why the Bills want to work with him, is because they see the opportunity that maybe there's something more there.
Let's move on to Lesean Mccoy. What's the latest on the investigation, the lawsuit, and the future of McCoy in Buffalo?
I was going to say, so as you know, I don't think anything that came out yesterday is going to affect his ability to be on the field. You know, there's the criminal investigation into the fact that, you know, his ex-girlfriend or former girlfriend was assaulted at Lesean McCoy's house. Lesean McCoy was not there. That happened earlier on in the summer. Now, legally, he has never been a suspect. He was never charged with anything. But stemming yesterday after that incident, his ex-girlfriend civilly now is suing him for basically damages, as well as she also says that there was an incidences of, like, basically abuse to both her son, his son, and their dogs. So it's kind of a lot to unpack. Now, again, this is a civil thing. There's been no charges against Lesean McCoy, and there's been no charges in that case whatsoever, the criminal case. But, you know, everything kind of coming out yesterday that he would be sued and that he was named in this lawsuit. And timeline-wise, I don't know what that means in terms of the Bills have stood by him throughout this entire proceeding. And I don't think, based on what she's claiming against him, that they've plan to change the way they feel.
Jenna, we have a thing on this show where it's the curse of the Ghazi bear. If Gaz really loves a player or a coach or whatever, they are doomed to either mediocrity or some kind of serious issue. Zay Jones is his biggest man crush on the Buffalo Bills because Zay was nice to him.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So
wow.
It's Gaz's fault that any of this has happened. Is there any chance Zay Jones can rise above the curse of the Ghazi bear?
First of all, Gaz, don't you dare ever like me. I don't ever want that on me.
That's why I'm so successful. He hates me.
You're set then.
Right.
No, I mean, Zay Jones, he had his first full practice yesterday. So he came out of the red jersey, first full practice, and he looked really good. Like, we were all kind of talking, all the reporters were on the sidelines. Like, he was making catches. He was really excited. You could tell. I mean, he's been off the field. He was wearing a red jersey before, but, you know, non-contact. Yesterday was really the first time that he was getting hit and all those things. But he has the potential. Again, he was the Bills' second-round pick last year. Like, they saw the potential in him and knew that he had this ability. And I think, you know, he's obviously gone through a lot this past offseason. He had to have knee surgery. He had that altercation with his brother that was on TMZ. And, you know, I think he's finally appreciating and coming to the realization of, like, I play football because I love the game and I want to be here. And I think we're just kind of seeing that. And I think he has to prove things to not just himself but this team. And I think he's very aware of that role that he needs to play going forward.
All right, I will not curse you or any other players going forward. I'll ask you this question instead. Levack and I are always up at Saratoga every Friday. You're a Saratoga girl. What are some of your favorite spots when you go back that you love hitting up at Saratoga?
It is really funny because I actually went home this past weekend. I did a little...
our phones must be broken.
I went to Syracuse, and then all my girlfriends, we all went to Saratoga just because I'm like, guys, it's really fun, I promise. They're like, okay, are you sure? And we all had a ball. But, I mean... there's so many good spots. It's so hard to choose. I really like Henry Street Tap Room. That's a good place.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. The Horseshoe. So I'm really biased because I used to work at the Horseshoe. But they have, like, live bands. It's a bar. They have food. You go to that place after the track, and it is wild. It is so much fun. Definitely would recommend that place. And then, I don't know, you really can't go wrong. Like, there's so many good restaurants. Like, my friends were amazed. They live in New York City. And they're like, wow, like, we would never have ever expected it to be there. Just so many people, but B, so many good places to go hang out, check out, and eat at too.
Jenna Cottrell, she covers the Bills for 13 Wham, and she ignores us when she comes back home. Our phones must have been broken.
Okay, I was home for 2 days on a weekend.
We would have paid for at least one of those drinks. We would have paid for one of those drinks at least, Jenna.
I mean, the 2 is the minimum, in my opinion. You got to do at least 2. So I don't know.
I'll pay for one drink, and I'll make sure Gaz doesn't like you, so the curse of the Gaz bear avoids you. That's my negotiating.
Okay, we can do that. That works. That works for me.
We'll make a promise. Next time you're in Saratoga, just send us a text. You don't have to answer it back later, but at least we'll acknowledge that you're here. That'd be good.
No, we would love to get together. You've always been good to us ever since the first time we talked, and even though you're known for being run over on the sideline, we still love you. And you blame us for the weather.
You. I try. I know. My friends are like, so what's the follow-up? I'm like, there's no follow-up. That is a one-time incident. That is a one-time thing. There's no follow-up action at all.
That would be like a great celebrity battle. What would be like you and Mike Evans throwing hands to make up for what happened?
Well, it's funny because the Bills corner Trey Way after was like, oh my God. He's like, you had pretty good coverage. I'm like, no, do not. Don't you dare.
Well, Jenna, man, we'll leave you alone so the rain stops out there in Rochester, and we appreciate you, and we'll be bothering you throughout the season.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'll let you know when I'm in Toga, I promise.